Hello APO viewers, welcome to the Productivity Talk organized by the APO Secretariat in Tokyo. My name is Santi and I'm pleased to be moderating today's Talk on risk management for resiliency and productivity. Today's Talk is special because we will discuss how to build resilient productivity by mitigating risk. As we have learned during the pandemic, many companies and organizations struggle to adapt. On the other hand, many companies also manage to survive and thrive. It seems the successful companies or organizations were able to navigate sudden shifts by managing risk effectively, making them very resilient. Our expert today specializes in the manufacture industry and AI. So we will be exploring resilience in productivity in industry and how AI contributes to this, with a focus on effective risk management. Okay, let me introduce our two speakers for today. First, we have Dr. Davood Shisebori, Associate Professor and Head of the Quality and Productivity Center, Department of Industrial Engineering, Yazd University, Iran. His research interests include supply chain resilience, risk management, and sustainable operations management. And our second speaker is Professor Dian Tjondronegoro, Professor of Business Strategy and Innovation at Griffith University, Australia. He has interdisciplinary expertise in responsible use of data, analytics, and artificial intelligence to support effective decision-making. He also has extensive experience in designing intelligent systems at the intersection of the health and multimedia sectors. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Davood and Dr. Dian. Thank you for joining today's talk despite of your busy schedule. So first, we will hear from Dr. Davood, who will speak on the role of risk management in enhancing resilient productivity. Then Dr. Dian will discuss navigating AI risk for sustainable productivity and resilience. To our APO viewers, feel free to leave any questions or comments in the comment box. Okay, now I invite Dr. Davood to begin his presentation. Thank you.
At the first, I want to special thanks to the APO and to Ms. Santi. My presentation is about risk management for resiliency and productivity. I want to talk about the role of risk management in resilient improvement of productivity. The main contents of my talk is then definition of resiliency in psychology and industry and service, then necessity of simultaneous considering resiliency and productivity. After that, the role of risk management in resilient improvement of productivity. Same case studies and concluding remarks and managerial insights are the final parts. We want to review a definition of productivity. As we know, the ratio between the amount of output and the input used to produce that amount of output is productivity. It measures the efficiency and effectiveness of enterprises simultaneously in producing output using available resources. According to the APO definition, the word productivity relates to the output in relation to the quantity of resources or input used to produce them. Labor, materials, machinery, and energy are the most obvious example of input. If a product is made at the lowest possible cost with high quality and can be sold competitively on the market at a good price, then its productivity level is considered high. As we know, productivity is equal to efficiency plus effectiveness. What about the definition of resiliency? Is very important in this talk. I want to first talk about in psychology. In psychology, resiliency and resilient person can be defined as follows. Resilience is the ability to cope with and recover from setbacks. A resilient person is someone who has strong coping skills and is able to marshal their available resources, ask for help when needed, and find ways to manage the situation they are facing. Resilience refers to the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or to adapt successfully to challenging situations. People with psychological resilience are able to use their skill and strength to respond to challenges, which can include those related to death of a loved one, divorce, financial issues, illness, job loss, medical emergencies, natural disasters. People with resilience experience less distress, grief, or anxiety than other people do. They use healthy coping skills to handle such difficulties in ways that foster strength and growth, often emerging stronger than they were before. What about the resilience in industry and service is very important. A resilient industrial or service process is a strategically engineered and managed system capable of anticipating, withstanding, adapting to, and rapidly recovering from disruptions, thereby ensuring uninterrupted high-quality operations. It involves the integration of robust infrastructure, flexible procedures, and adaptive strategies, allowing the process to maintain optimal functionality and efficiency under adverse conditions. Key attributes are robustness, adaptability, resourcefulness, and rapidity, which collectively ensure sustained operations, fulfillment of stakeholder requirements, and continuous improvement in resilience again against future challenges. The key component of the resilience processes are as follows. Robustness, number one, the ability of the process to maintain its function and performance level. Number two, adaptability, the capability of process to adjust operations in response to challenging conditions. Number three, resourcefulness, the ability to efficiently utilize resources to maintain operations. Number four, redundancy, the incorporation of backup systems, processes, or component. Number five, rapidity, the speed at which the process can recover and return. And finally, number six, learning and improvement, the continuous assessment and integration of lessons learned from past disruptions. Here we have a practical example of a resilient industrial process. Suppose a supply chain disruption in a manufacturing company. The following steps are recommended. Recognizing adversity, the company identifies a significant disruptions. Item two, cognitive appraisal. The management team evaluates impact of the disruption. Step three, emotional regulation. The leadership manage stress and maintain composure. Step four, problem solving, forming a crisis management team to develop efficient strategies. And step five, social support. The company leverage its network of industry contacts and partners to find new suppliers. In step six, positive thinking and optimism is supposed. The leadership maintains a positive outlook. Step seven, uh, adaptability and flexibility. The production team adapts by adjusting manufacturing schedules and processes. In step eight, self efficacy. The team believes in their capability to handle the crisis effectively. In step 9, physical well-being, the company ensures that the well-being of its employees is maintained. In step 10, meaning and purpose, the company reaffirms its commitment to its mission and values. And finally, step 11, learning and growth. After resolving the immediate crises, the company conducts a thorough analysis of what happened and why. The main outcomes can be arranged as follows. The manufacturing company navigates the supply chain disruption with resilience, successfully sourcing new suppliers, minimizing the impact on customers, and finally emerging stronger with improved risk management strategies and a more diversified supply chain. What about the necessity of focusing on both aspects? I mean, resiliency and productivity together. Um, 8 items can be mentioned. Ensuring continuity in adverse situations, resiliency and productivity, minimizing downtime, uh, quick adapting, maintaining high productivity levels, uh, sustaining competitive advantage, optimizing resource utilization, avoiding waste and reducing cost, enhancing employee well-being and morale, handle stress and improve job satisfaction, long-term growth and sustainability, leveraging resilience and productivity. Item 7, building a stronger organizational culture. And finally, item 8, responding to market and environmental changes. From the statistical perspective, we can consider the urgent need for resilient productivity. According to the World Bank's 2023 reports, reveals a disheartening declaration in global labor productivity, sinking to a 1.4% annual growth from the previous decades, 2.5%. In fact, the COVID-19 pandemic intensified this decline, slashing productivity in many manufacturing sectors by 10 to 15% due to severe supply chain disruptions and work issues. Another study by McKinsey and Company represent that 30 to 50% in a greater reduction in productivity during the pandemics, the companies with low operational resilience. The 2023 Manufacturing Resilience Survey by Deloitte represent that 60% of manufacturing firms reported direct financial losses due to insufficient risk management practice, with an average loss $1.2 million per incident. And finally, research from Boston Consulting Group in 2023 represent that manufacturers investing in resilient improvement strategies saw a 20% higher return on investment. Um, the statistics present in this report make a compelling case for the urgent need to focus on the resilient improvement of productivity in the manufacturing sectors. Global challenges continue to evolve. Companies that uh, integrate resilience into their productivity strategies are better positioned to sustain growth, mitigate risks, and maintain competitive advantage for integrating resilience into their productivity strategies. Remarkable points can be concluded as follows. Integration of resilience and productivity is imperative for contemporary organizations. It minimized operational downtime, sustain comparative advantage, optimize resource utilization, and enhance employee well-being and morale. Implementing integrated planning, flexible processes, comprehensive employee training, strategic technology utilization, and a culture of continuous improvement are the critical steps. By balancing resiliency and productivity, organizations can effectively navigate challenges and capitalize on opportunities, ensuring sustained performance and long-term success. Here we have a practical case study for resilient productivity improvement. Suppose an ABC manufacturing, a mid-sized company, production of automotive component. The ABC manufacturing faced a major supply chain disruption due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to delays in receiving critical materials. The objective is enhancing the company resilience while simultaneously improving productivity to ensure uninterrupted operations and maintain competitive advantage. Main steps for resilient productivity improvement are suggested as follows. Crisis management team formation. Step 2, risk assessment and mitigation. Step 3, supplier diversification. Step 4, inventory management. Step 5, process optimization. And step 6 is technology integration. Step 7, employee training and engagement. And finally, continuous improvement culture, as mentioned before. I mean, establishing a continuous improvement program, reviewing and updating resiliency and productivity strategies. The main achievement of ABC manufacturing, according to the suggested steps, are improved supply chain resilience, increased productivity, enhanced operational flexibility, sustained competitive advantage. ABC manufacturing not only overcome a critical supply chain challenges, but also improved its overall operational efficiency and competitive standing. The final point is about the role of risk management. The main items can be mentioned about the role of risk management in resilient improvement of productivity can be mentioned as follows. Item 1, identification of potential risks, understanding vulnerabilities, realizing sustainable risk assessment tools. Number 2, risk mitigation strategies, preventive measures, flexibility in operations. Number 3, enhancing resilience through redundancy, building redundancy and diversification. Number 4, continuous monitoring and adaptation, real-time risk monitoring, feedback loops. Item 5, integration with strategic planning, alignment with business objectives, scenario planning. Number 6, ensuring compliance and regulatory adherence, regulatory risks, health and safety. Crisis management and recovery planning, i.e., crisis preparedness, business continuity plan. My final summary and conclusions is about the emphasis on resilient improvement of productivity are as follows. Risk management is integral to resilient improvement of productivity in several manufacturing companies and services. By systematically identifying, mitigating, and monitoring risks, company can ensure that productivity gains are not only achieved but also preserved, making them robust against potential disruptions. This proactive approach is essential for safeguarding productivity improvement, ensuring they are sustainable and capable of withstanding unexpected challenges. Organizations are better positioned to thrive in a dynamic environment, contributing to their overall resilience and maintaining a competitive advantage in the market. Thank you for hearing me.
Great. Thank you. Very insightful. Dr. Davood shared the role of risk management for resilient productivity and a case study in a manufacturer company. So to complement this, now I'm inviting Dr. Dian to explain the risk management from the point of view of AI and how can it contribute to the resiliency before we proceed to the Q&A session. Thank you. Please, Dr. Dian.
Thank you, Santi. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to talk to you about the navigation of AI risks for sustainable productivity and resilience. The outline of my talk here is to focus on how to leverage AI to build resilient, sustainable, and productive organizations. I'd like to start by talking about how important it is for us to understand the impact of AI in the current landscape of how it already impacts the economic and other kind of challenges out there. Secondly, I'd like to talk about what is meant by AI innovation and what are the risks that comes with it. Before then, I'll focus to talk about what is some of the strategies to navigate these risks. First, I would like to talk about responsible AI implementation, and then I'd like to talk about what does it mean by sustainable AI that actually balance innovation with societal and environmental values for long-term growth. And after that, I'll focus to talk about what does it mean by building AI maturity so that we can navigate the risks better into the future via this strategy that focuses on education, partnerships, infrastructure, and community support. And finally, I'd like to offer some practical strategies to adopt how AI can be integrated responsibly within organizations to support the workforce into driving newer way of doing productivity. To talk about AI innovation, let us start with the importance of understanding where AI is in the current landscape. And we want to acknowledge that for every technology, there is a hype cycle. And this Gartner's hype cycle is to represent where it is at the moment when it comes to why we talk about AI in terms of resilient productivity today. As you can see, a lot of people at the moment is at that very peak of the inflated expectations of generative AI. A lot of people overestimate what they can do with ChatGPT and alike. And people think of it as it can do a lot of works for them, writing reports, even writing movie scripts, and even drawing pictures and diagrams. So there's a huge expectation that it will change the way that we do things into the future. Now, if we look at all the related technologies, such as federated machine learning, which is critical to continuously understand how AI can do machine learning without using the data across different departments, across different business organizations, there's a lot of expectation too that it's not quite there when it comes to the peak of the inflated expectation. But there's a lot people understand that AI can be tailored for their organizational purposes into the future. Now, the reason why generative AI is at that very inflated peak of the expectations is because it already is making a lot of wave when it comes to what people can use it for their work and productivity in general. And because of that, there are a lot of new statistics that are highlighted that I would like to share with you today. First thing first is how much that it will impact the global economy by 2030 across key sectors. And PwC highlighted that it will be a staggering $15.7 trillion contribution. Following out of that, McKinsey also highlights that 65% of organizations are expected to use generative AI by 2024. And the expectation is then for every dollar that are invested, companies could see a $3.5 return. So this sort of huge expectation is then also by Accenture is highlighted, because AI will reshape workplace processes, automating routine tasks and supporting decision making, and therefore improving overall productivity by 40% by 2035. The challenge, though, here I would like to highlight that 28% organizations feel that they are fully prepared for the new AI regulations, including the Boston Consulting Group in 2023 in their article of 5 ways to prepare for AI regulation. Then it is time for us to understand what is the challenge and why AI is such a huge opportunity for productivity before we talk about the risks. AI has been defined in many ways by everyone out there because of the, I would say, the productizations of various tools such as ChatGPT. There is a lot of democratization when it comes to what you can use AI for. But in the simplest way to define it, AI is the ability of machines to mimic human cognitive functions such as learning and problem solving. It also means that it is able to process information by reading, listening, and observing what is going on in using senses, right? After that is to understand that AI can synthesize and represent knowledge. It can help to plan and execute a sequence of action. It can do reasoning, make predictions, and also help to anticipate so that they can make better decisions. Last but not least is the most important part, which is continuously learn the logic, the context, the rules, the laws, and eventually become more autonomous and doesn't need human supervision to get to the point where it can function on its own. Therefore, AI innovation is the process of adopting, implementing, and integrating AI to gain or maintain the competitive advantage and improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization. The thing with every innovation is that there is an organizational culture, structure, and the business processes, as well as the workflows and operational models that will have to change, adapt, and evolve because AI integration doesn't come simple. It's considered one of the most complex phenomena of innovation. No wonder then there are some further statistics that we need to highlight today. AI has been said to replace 300 million of full-time jobs globally by Goldman Sachs in 2023. It actually is an important thing to note. When I said complexity of integrating AI into organization, it is often not because of the technology. The technology might be there and is advanced enough. However, because of its impact to the organization when it comes to how many jobs are lost, then there's a lot of complex processes that comes with responsibly integrating it as part of the business. Likewise, we'd like to see from World Economic Forum by 2025, 97 million new roles will emerge to replace the 85 million that may be lost. This sort of statement is really important because it was made in 2023. And in 2 years' time, the prediction is clear that there are going to be 85 million roles that will be lost. And the silver lining is this larger than what is lost. To me, the takeaway of this sort of statistic is clear. Human or people in general will leverage AI. Jobs will be lost, but there is a silver lining because we will see new kind of roles that will emerge that will surpass what is being lost. In that note, then I would like to highlight the risks of AI in productivity and why we need to navigate it properly. It is expected that human AI collaborations are going to outperform human-only tasks soon. When I said soon, it probably is already the case. Let's say if you want to write a report using just your manual work That means you have to write from the brainstorm to the point that you write every paragraph perfectly. Now, using generative AI, you can collaborate with Copilot or ChatGPT to write articles and reports based on some unstructured bullet points of your thought notes and other things that you can just even speak to it. And it certainly gives you that very well structured and organized set of paragraphs that represent your idea. With that said, then it is clear that human only tasked to to write a report in such a way that is very much just relying on human will be outpaced, right, by the ones that are utilizing the power of AI. Therefore, there is an urgent need for these ethical, fair, and transparent guidelines that neither displace jobs nor penalize those that are able to harness AI to increase their productivity. In the simplest way of saying it is that if we can surrender some human controls to AI that can affect future work, who's going to own the intellectual property? Who will be accountable to these outputs? Why is it was the simplest way to explain it? Well, AI is still unpredictable in that sense, because what you know as AI today might change in 2 years' time. We all already seen how much ChatGPT has grown, and even some entrepreneurs like Elon Musk already said, let's take a slower pace here because it just completely outgrow the way that human is ready to adapt to AI. Why we say it's unpredictable is because a lot of people don't know yet what is in the research pipeline, as well as what is already implemented by some of the technology companies out there. And the question is always how much users understand the latest of the latest when it comes to its capability. Because let's face it, until now, AI is still a black box. It's a mystery box that can help you to do certain work. And a lot of people don't even understand what is the internal working knowledge of those advanced AI and its basis of knowledge. If you don't even know that, then how do we know that what is coming out of the AI is reliable? Therefore, the current organizational readiness and the regulations are still insufficient for leveling the playing field, because it will be even widened into the future because of the notion of people that knows how to use AI, and the working part of it will benefit, obviously. But those that actually choose to fear and not willing to move and adapt, they might be disadvantaged soon. Therefore, I would like to start by some of the frameworks that I have also shared here, the QR code of the full paper, if you want to see this particular framework in more details. As I said earlier about the risk is that a lot of people don't understand of what AI can do. Therefore, the first thing first here, if you can see on the most left, in order to do AI integration, we need to do initial trust formation. So that is at the epicenter of what you need to do. So when it comes to the AI models and the algorithms, it has to make sense when it comes to fitting it into the infrastructure of people and data, as well as the business model. In order to do that, then the process here on the top of the framework here is the planning and designing of the ecosystem. We need to have a good business case for responsible AI and the innovation and adoption that comes with it, and we need to co-design it with the users and internal stakeholders. Once the initial business case and the value is fully realized, then there is going to be more likely that the organization and the people within it will be committing to the future of using AI for years to come. And to sustain this implementation is very critical to fully realize the potential of AI. Therefore, this continuous trust development is very critical. So any bias and accuracy in terms of consistency and explainability of AI is very critical, and we need to govern AI as with the power of human feedback as augmented intelligence. In order to do that, the process is called developing and the deployment of the solution. followed by the operational and the monitoring and scaling the AI solution, so that we can not only align with the user needs, we also can unlock the full potential of this synergistic human AI collaboration. Now, in the midst of all this, what is underpinning of all that is called co-creation, because all players need to work together across all the processes. The next set of tools that I would like to offer for today is called Sustainable AI Ethical Adoption. This has been adapted by and expanded from this towards sustainable AI literature that I've discovered as one of the most important is the ethical requirements. So from the top, you can see ethical requirements will have to drive the vision, the objectives of designing an AI and how it can be used for the organization. It has to look at the corporate values and the code of conduct, as well as the protocols for interaction with the other partners. With that, it will then become the process, the control, and the governance that includes the policy, standards, strategies, as well as this national and international cooperation. And also finally is the centralized data with AI office, as well as the chief officer of the whole organization. It has to work together to maintain ethical adoption. If that is the center of everything, then we have to look at the operational tools and procedural tools. Let me give you two examples here. By looking at ethical AI engineering, which means that you are looking at ethical requirements as well as technical requirements of the AI, we can look at from the perspective of what does that mean by explainable AI? What does it mean by privacy by design for the software engineers and also systems designer? Second, you can also look at ethical AI business. On the right-hand side here, you can see that safe, secure, and transparent use of customers' data for social good has to underpin the business models. So it means that the ethical requirements connect with business requirements. So in order to gain competitive advantage and build new business model, we cannot possibly not connect it with the protocols for interacting with the other partners. So what is the ethical requirement of the business to gain advantage but still have a responsible interaction with other partners? Now, I would like to highlight here that at the other parts of this tool, we call it the educational tools. We need to educate the future of our generation in terms of making sure that we know ethical AI engineers, ethical AI business leaders, and finally is this human-centric AI enterprise systems. We need to prepare the generation into the future because AI will most likely continue to disrupt and transform our productivity. With that said, I would like to make sure here that everyone is aware of the key issues of sustainable AI adoption. I mentioned earlier about surrendering some human controls to machine, which means that how much of your work is dependent or supported or augmented by machine, which means that intellectual property and accountability of the work becomes a very important issue on its own. Second, as we talked about earlier about why AI depends on machine learning to become better, then we need to understand that the acquisition, the storage, and the analysis, as well as the transmission of private and confidential data becomes more so important. Finally, when it comes to partnering with AI as a black box, users, most of them, I would say, would not even understand the complexity and internal workings of advanced AI. What does that mean? We need to look at AI as a reliable tool into the future. Much like we trust our calculator to do the maths properly for us, we want to make sure that AI is that almost 100%, or if not 100%, accurate at all time. Now, there is a quote I would like to borrow by the European GDPR, which is one of the most, I would say, the gold standard when it comes to data management for AI. I would like to highlight here, and for privacy, I should say, not just for AI. The saying here is AI systems have no moral authority. They cannot be held accountable in terms of judicial decisions and judgments. I think that is the silver lining, folks. I think if we talk about how AI will transform productivity, the underpinning or what we can underline here is the importance of acknowledging that human is in control. Ultimately, they are the one. We are the ones who needs to be accountable and ultimately hold the final judgments when it comes to use of AI to make decisions and process information. Therefore, I'd like to highlight to you, earlier I talked about a lot of people don't understand around AI and as a black box. We all need the journey of AI maturity. Whether we start from now or later, what matters most is that we all come with our own background. From there, we need to start with being educated into understanding what AI job and skills into the future will be. So this journey of AI maturity, I've written it in the paper, also in the QR code there. You can see the full paper. I look at the national AI strategy of some leading nations, and I've defined what does it mean by the EPIC framework. So education is at the bottom line. So if you look at AI maturity, it needs to grow by the very foundational thing, which is digital and AI literacy, through understanding what AI can do for our jobs into the future. Next, we need to look at partnerships, because let's face it, no matter how knowledgeable the person around AI, there will always be a gap when it comes to interdisciplinarity of business integration, especially when it requires some sort of research, development, and innovation to make sure that the solution is even more so tailored for the organization, such as e-health and manufacturing. Next is, of course, having the infrastructure for trustworthy data and AI, which will then have the cherry on the top is the community impact. What I'm trying to say here, folks, is everything needs to be started and ended with community impact. Because of the risk and benefits, we need to navigate it in such a way that we are prioritizing the community benefit beyond the risk. And of course, managing the risk is the framework of using AI. How to manage risk has to be driven by value-based principles. And I borrowed here the OECD's AI principles and the Australia's AI ethics. We can highlight here that some of the important values that we need to highlight here are inclusive growth, sustainable development, and well-being. Next is human-centered values and fairness, followed by transparency and explainability, and finally robustness, security, safety, and accountability. And if you look at those value-based principles, we can then have some aims for the life cycle of AI project and systems within productivity context. Example would be respecting human rights, diversity, and autonomy of individuals, and being inclusive and accessible, and should not involve or result in unfair discrimination against individuals, communities, or groups, which are very much about this inclusive growth and human-centered values and fairness. I would like to conclude by offering some practical strategies, and these are based on what I've just presented to you, but also at the same time, I also give you the link via the QR code to look at my article that was written around 2020, why AI superpower is a very critical thing for Australia and other countries, for that matter, to look at the regional positioning and global outlook into the future of the industry. With that said, after understanding AI and its impact to the business better, we will understand these practical strategies are hopefully something that you can all take away from my presentation today. First, the journey is triaging with AI readiness. Second, followed by start with the scope. Third is realizing the value by prototyping and early implementations. Finally, focus on managing the risks, because corporate leaders must focus on maintaining human oversight and fostering ethical governance when it comes to realizing the full potential of AI. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you very much, Dr. Dian. This is very informative and interesting. So you explain about AI's contribution to the resilient productivity as well as identifying the potential AI risks. So I'm really agree with you that we have to educate people more on AI as it is the basic foundation of AI's maturity. And this is something that is very interesting to learn more. Okay, so thank you for the both speakers. So now we proceed for the Q&A sessions. We have like remaining 10 minutes. So the first question, I think it's for both of you, Dr. Dian and Dr. Davood. So learning from COVID-19 pandemic. So if we take a look back on the COVID-19 pandemic, and we have learned also from you about the component of risk management. From Dr. Davood, we learned about how people and also supply chain is part of the risk management component, as well as from Dr. Dian, we learned about the security for one of the risk component for AI. So because of the COVID-19 pandemic, do you see any new component of risk management in the manufacture, for example, or health industry or specific on AI? So for this question, if I need to hear from Dr. Davood first and then continue by Dr. Dian. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In my opinion, I think that Corona has forever changed the risk management in many areas. Perhaps the most challenging issue that have noticed in this discussion is high contagiousness of disease. So accordingly, I think that new components of risk management in supply chain area are health and safety protocols, workforce flexibility and remote work, and pandemic preparedness and crisis management. These three items are the new component that we learned from the corona in risk management in supply chain.
Thank you. Dr. Dian?
Thank you. And just following up from what David said, I think it would be important for us to understand from the health industry in particular. We all understand that the speed of which the industry has to move during the COVID period was the sharing of information. I think what we've been learning from that whole period of managing the spread of the coronavirus was timely information equates to timely prediction as well as understanding what's going on with the spread. And I remember in the context of Australia, we all have to do our check-in, for example, and I think most countries also implement something similar to that, is that we want to look at how information flows from restaurants, for example, and other public spaces to immediately go to the, I would say, the health authorities to look at what is the potential context that people have when there is one case found within the community. With that said, it makes it even more so important for AI in the future. If there is anything like this into the future, if we can learn, is that information around the spread of the coronavirus can be immediately processed and synthesized, and making sure that the privacy is still maintained despite the information sharing. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we noticed that because of the remote work during the COVID pandemic, and then also one of the most new risk management components is also timely prediction, as Dr. Dian already explained. So thank you very much. And now let's proceed to so I have questions. It's more about the case studies. Maybe first for Dr. Dian. So we have learned from many articles because AI is one of the most trending topic now. So there are some case studies like the time required to complete tasks by human is reduced because of the adoption by AI, for example, ChatGPT, and it's potentially leading to unemployment. So based on your experience, especially in the health service and business, how actually we can keep the unemployment at the normal rate because of this adoption by AI, especially because it's reduced the time to complete tasks by human.
That's a really good question. In fact, I would have to refer to the point of which human actually have to decide of the nature of the job itself. So when it comes to the adoption of AI, it's not the reduction of time only, but also the kind of roles that people will need to process anything when it regards to in health or any kind of sector into the future. So to answer this particular question, I think it's very important that what do we mean by unemployment at a normal rate? I think it goes without saying that what we've learned from all the industrial revolution or transformation that we've witnessed in the past. So AI is the fourth industry revolution that we have. I think this notion of unemployment rate that we will see, it really depends, as I said, around how much an organization is willing to take AI and understand that humans still are in control ultimately. But as you already all probably can guess, if AI is already as reliable and as automated as, let's say, a calculator in our hand, we don't have to keep on checking it. We know that it will give us the truth, so to speak. Then, even more so, that probably jobs will be transformed and less workflow is needed, less checking is needed. And that is the point where I would like to say to you all here that we are not quite there yet. And despite all the hypes of the generative AI, people still do realize that it hallucinates and ultimately humans still need to check everything. So yes, we might cut, let's say, writing a report by half of the time that is required, but it also requires half of the time is also to check and edit and making sure that human it makes sense for us. And fact checking also is a very important component. Therefore, in my opinion, this notion of unemployment at the normal rate, it will be sustained for as long as people realize that humans still in control.
Great, very insightful. So yeah, the time reduced, it's not like 100% reduced because as you said, human has to like keep the controlling the quality of how AI works. So the rest of the remaining time can be used for that as well. Thank you, Dr. Dian. And one case study question for Dr. Davood. So as you already present in your presentation about the ABC manufacture company, so let's say in the event of sudden raw material shortage, for example, like because of the supply chain disruption, so company usually recognize and assess the impact of production timelines using early warning systems or indicators. And do you think this kind of protocol or early warning system is enough to identify disruptions?
I think that it is very important to provide an integrated protocol or system for early detection and warning, as well as how to respond to it, and most importantly, continuous improvement of the aforementioned integrated protocol with new updated information. Exactly. In fact, while early warning systems are valuable tools for identifying supply chain disruptions, they are not enough by themselves. Companies must adopt a holistic approach to risk management, combining real-time monitoring with strategic foresight, diversification, and proactive resilience building measures to effectively handle disruptions and minimize the impact of a raw material shortage on production. In my opinion, I think that.
Thank you very much, Dr. Davood. One follow-up question. So we have like 3 minutes remaining. I think it's the last question for both of you as well. One follow-up question for that, especially for Dr. Davood. So then, what are the challenges faced by company, especially in manufacture, to apply risk management, especially for the company which is reluctant in applying risk management? What do you think the reasons for the reluctancy? Thank you.
In my opinion, I think that data limitation, lack of resources, complexity of risk identification, resistance to change, global supply chain complexity, in fact, and inconsistent regulatory environments are the main items. And the main reasons for reluctance in adopting risk management can be cost considerations, of course, lack of awareness, cultural barriers, and perception of complexity. Exactly by addressing these challenges and understanding the reasons for reluctance, companies can work toward more effective risk management practice that contribute to their long-term sustainability.
Thank you very much, Dr. Davood. And for Dr. Dian, this is almost the same question for Dr. Davood. In terms of AI, and you already mentioned one of the challenges now is because we have not sufficient regulations. So then what do you think the most challenges part why government face difficulty in regulating AI for risk management other than like the educations? I believe that's one of the main reason, but if you can elaborate more on the challenges for government in regulating AI.
Thank you. That question comes from what I've spoken earlier about the pace of the AI development itself. The fact that the government is still playing a catch-up is not the fault of any government for that matter. In fact, the private sectors and alike, even at the research front, we are all still grappling with the very notion of this AI as the technology. Because you probably can guess that AI technology doesn't stand on its own. It comes with machine learning and other parts of it that actually makes up the whole component of the data collection and the synthesis of data and how it processes into a decision. Because of that, I think there's a lot of components where government needs to partner and it needs to have a good partnership with the innovation ecosystem, which provides them with a greater understanding of how AI is adopted in a real life sense. And because of that, they can then create a better governance policies and as well as other kind of regulations that are practical, but at the same time still addressing the urgent need of adopting AI. I call urgent need for that because I've highlighted earlier, if the organizations don't soon use AI, then they might have to play a catch up, and therefore government needs to speed up this notion of what is an acceptable governance when it comes to managing the risk of AI in terms of its usage in the organization.
Thank you, Dr. Dian. We actually noticed some length when you answering the question. So let me check if we can proceed. Okay, we can continue. Okay, thank you. And Dr. Dian, so I received like question from my colleague, if it's okay. This is the last question because we are very curious. On your presentation, you mentioned that the data on the World Economic Forum 2025, like 97 million new roles will emerge to replace the 85 million that might be lost. So do you have like, could you please also elaborate what types of new roles that you think will arise? We also learned that maybe some social skills will be the most important.
Yeah,
What do
I'd
you
probably
think?
like to suggest that we look at the way that AI is going to also immediately change some jobs. So the notion of creativity and human AI collaboration to maintain creativity and ensuring the output is not too creative. So if you remember back in the days where we can change the Microsoft Copilot, for example, in terms of how creative you want it to be or how factual it is, meaning that you restrict it to only factual. This is where it becomes the same thing with the new role that might arise, is that notion of designing the AI using, and how can we allow humans still in control is going to be that new role that will arise in terms of enforcing the design of new way of doing works. I might not be the best one to answer this because this is human resource management eventually, because every role when it comes to how the business workflow will be affected by everything that can be done by AI, but at the same time still having this human oversight, I think will change the way that work is going to be supervised, managed, and when it comes to looking at that, it's almost like we look at how, I think I can liken it to how driverless car is already there, but then it's not immediately unsupervised, right? So I think that notion of supervision as well as managing the way that AI is used into the workflow, I think will continue to be the next new roles that will still be needed.
I see. Thank you. So it's better for us to just get ready for that.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I think that's the end of the Q&A session. So we thank Dr. Davood and Dr. Dian for sharing their insights on the topic of risk management for resiliency and productivity. So I believe we had a very enriching discussion today, highlighting that productivity improvements alone are actually not sufficient in these uncertain times. We must also rely on risk management, especially with the emergence of advanced technology such as AI. So now I would like to invite both of you to share your final message, maybe only 1 minute each. So first, maybe I will invite Dr. Davood first.
In fact, I think that in today's world full of uncertainty, the improvement of productivity is an incomplete and imperfect. I think that the complete phrase today is resilient improvement of productivity. In fact, if some companies focus on just improvement of productivity, it is very short term, and successful companies works on a resilient improvement of productivity.
Very agree. Thank you, Dr. Davood and Dr. Dian.
Thank you. My final remark would be around what AI means to you should also be governed by the fact that you need to understand better of what it can do for you as well as the organization. And at the key thing for us is to understand what it means for the community to benefit for it. And we need to have a value-driven decisions in terms of how we want to use AI within an organization. What it means is that there is some ethical requirements when it comes to use of the information that is needed to fuel the AI with data that is needed, but also at the same time how we want to use it ethically when it comes to transparency of how we use AI to boost our productivity. And at the same time, we should not be too fearful of the future of jobs, because we will adapt to the new roles into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. For APO viewers, if you have any questions or would like to share your experiences in managing risk across any sectors, please leave your comments in the comment box below, and we would be happy to learn from you as well. Thank you very much. Please stay productive, and goodbye for now.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.